basically for a visual anyway. So my name is Sherry Spain. My birth name, Shabnam Murad Mand. I was born in Tehran, Iran, 1969. When I'm asked about my nationality, I say I'm Persian, because us older Iranians like to refer to the Persian Empire, which is now whittled down to just Iran. I immigrated to the US in 1977 to join my family that was already here. Very different times. My uncles Ardashir and Bijan dreamed of coming to the US in the 60s, drawn by the promise of freedom and opportunities, like most immigrants. A few years later, my uncle Ardashir was the first to journey here. At that time, you could easily get a visa. This was in 1962, 1963. When he came, 2 years later, he met his wife, Jamila, who is a US-born woman of Sicilian and Greek heritage. And he was able to apply for some of the other family members. We often say my uncle Ardashir is the one who opened the door for our family. If it wasn't for his courage to take the first step, we might never have ventured to the US ourselves. Sadly, he passed away at the age of 35 from cancer. I never got a chance to meet him when I came to California. And by the way, we all came to California. And we all stayed in California. My grandparents, my uncle Bijan, and two of my other cousins were the next to arrive in the US with visas in hand. I have pictures to show you. That's okay. So I have pictures of pre-revolution Iran. And what we looked like. We looked just like everyone here in the US. We had mini skirts and bathing suits and everything you can imagine. We had beautiful country, still is a beautiful country, and our mosques are an artist's dream because they're so intricate with the details. If you've ever been to Italy, you kind of get an idea. That was the Iran I remembered as a child. However, at the same time, there was growing unrest, and my mother wanted to join the rest of her family here, my grandparents. The Shah, who ruled as king and was a US ally, led a modern and secular Iran. I remember his picture being posted in every classroom and in every business building. And as a child, you kind of worshiped him, right? Because he was the king with all the formalities of a king. Life was very westernized. We dressed freely, we listened to music, we enjoyed parties, drinking, other things. But the regime was still authoritarian and watched anyone who opposed it. But it was just kept a little bit on the quiet side.
What year?
This was in the 60s and 70s. Okay. Yeah. So.
And how old were you when you came here?
I was 8 years old.
Okay.
By the 70s, the resentment grew, especially in the rural Iran areas where people felt the Shah was abandoning religious values and selling out to the West. Rising inequality and dissatisfaction fueled opposition groups. There were many factions. One, supported by the Ayatollah Khomeini, who had been exiled to France. My mother, who was a teacher for 30 years in Iran, came to the US at age 48 without knowing how to speak English, without knowing how to drive, and started working. At that time, unlike today, she needed and received permission from my father, her ex-husband, to bring me. With the supportive family that was already here, who could sponsor us, She applied for visas and passports for both of us. Although I have 4 brothers, only I could come, since I was 8 years old while they were already adults. When we arrived, and I remember this because it was like, we came to America, but then they're like, we came to California. And I was like, that's not America. It took me a while to grasp the concept of a state. We lived with my grandparents. My mother took night classes to learn how to speak English, and I entered the 2nd grade. And she hired a private tutor to teach me how to speak English in the evenings. Being young, I picked up English quickly, surrounded by everyday school peers who were very kind. My mother, however, struggled, and we made fun of her for decades. Woo! Woo! Okay, here we go. I'll just do it. Yeah, okay. Persian Empire. Woo! Okay. That's my uncle Ardashir, and that was his wife Jamila, who was a professional belly dancer, and his daughter, who also became a professional belly dancer. My grandparents. This is what we used to look like in the 70s.
Like everybody else?
Like everybody else. That's one of our major monuments in Iran, just some of our hillsides. The mosques. Yeah, they're very intricate details. The Shah,
Of course.
our king, Mama, and me. And, okay, we'll stop there. All right. So I started speaking English fairly quickly. My mom did not. Still, she learned to drive. She got her driver's license. She was able to access her retirement income from Iran. We also secured her green card fairly quickly, like within a few years, because she had parents already here with a green card. And she began to apply for each of my brothers to come to the US, which was possible to do at that time as long as you had sponsorship, someone willing to support you in the US. The whole family shared one attorney out of San Francisco, and we know his name to this day. And just to note, there was a lot of Iranians that immigrated during the late 70s because everyone felt the unrest emerging a lot in Southern California. So I can't even talk rap with my Persian family when I'm there because there's so many of them there. In 1979, everything changed. The Shah of Iran was overthrown, and the Ayatollah Khomeini was brought back from France and rose in power. All those revolutionaries consolidated behind one, and they thought that supporting him would be the way to go to freedom, creating Iran's first Islamic republic. The Shah fled, but soon after, Iranian students stormed the US Embassy, taking American hostages to protest against America giving the Shah refuge. Overnight, Iran went from relative obscurity to dominating international headlines. I know this because when I was in elementary school and kids would ask me, where are you from? And I would say Iran, and be like, where's that? But they now knew exactly where Iran was. We had traded one form of authoritarianism for another, this time a religious one. Promises of liberation that were given by these factions gave way to reality of the nightmare. First, female students were required to cover their heads. Then the rule extended to everyone in business offices, and soon it was nationwide. The gradual chipping away of personal rights and freedoms. Sound
For
familiar?
women. Yeah, for women.
For women, it always starts with women.
Mm-hmm.
State-controlled TV replaced free media. Music was censored. television censored, alcohol sales were banned, and women's rights stripped away. So I'm just giving you a picture of the before and after of what we had to look like when this all happened. Just a family portrait there. As a child, I felt the impact directly. I remember walking home from elementary school when some boys threatened to beat me up because I was Iranian. They told me to go back to where I came from. And being the smart aleck that I was, I probably told them to go back to where they came from. But then they gave chase and I ran it all the way home. Never took that same route again. My mother also suffered because her retirement funds were frozen. And with little English ability, she had to become a housekeeper, and house cleaning was our source of income for her. And just remember, she's now into her 50s, so I had a very grumpy mom. She was working and doing things, you know, going from a teacher to a house cleaner was quite the change. At 10 years old, I became the translator for the family. So documents came in the mail, you read this and translate it for us, or going to doctors, I had to go to every doctor visit with every family member. Paperwork, shopping, everyday life. I was very resentful because I wanted to be American. I didn't want anyone to hear me speak Farsi. But as soon as I became 18, I became a citizen. This was the only country that I really knew. More of my family continued to immigrate to the U.S. during this time. Almost all of my mother's family is currently here and all citizens. My oldest brother took the longest to get here because every decade the laws kept changing and it became more and more difficult. So my mom had to become a citizen in order to bring him. He was like the last sibling left. And it took a lot to help her get through her citizenship exam, because I don't think most Americans can even get through that exam. But we had a very kind, loving lady there at that time. And I believe from the time she became a citizen to the time my brother could get here, took about 9 years. Yeah.
How old was your brother when he came here?
He was well into his 40s.
Oh.
So, I was the first one in my family to get a college degree from the University of Berkeley in 1993.
Yay.
And just a snapshot of some of the female cousins in my family, or my favorite peoples. It's just 1/8 of my family. I have a massive family. We have first cousins, second cousins, third cousins. We work all kinds of jobs, engineers, nurses, hairdressers, office workers. And despite our diverse paths, we still have not forgotten where we came from. And that history makes what's happening in this country now extremely alarming for us, because we recognize the signs, whereas most Americans choose to ignore it. And it's very sad to see it, because that's how the Khomeini regime started. It wasn't all at once. It was a little bit at a time. So we each family have our own story of how we came here. Some of us had to get a visa to go to Turkey. Some of us had to get a visa to go to Germany, the UK, anywhere we could, and then find our pathway to the United States. And that was just a bit of my story. Hope you guys, and please don't call us Iranians. We like Iranian.
You can't do this, except there's not an understanding component. Okay. As Karen is working on the technology. You notice she doesn't let me near the computer. Thank you very much, Sherry, and thank you. And actually, I'm a bit older than Sherry, and I went to school with some Iranian students.
Iranian.
Late Iranian, sorry, I'm doing it now. In the late 60s, and they were very anti-Shah because their parents had been in some kind of high office,
Yes.
and they were on the Shah's backside. The Shah didn't like their parents. They would, and we lost contact when we all changed countries to live in for a while, but they would have died if they had known about Khomeini. That would be their nightmare.
Yeah.
They just wanted it less authoritarian.
Yep.
Not
Yep. Not the opposite.
Yes, exactly. Well, anyway, so just to tell you what you can do if you want to help in the area of immigration. Number one, we had a rapid response class, actually another group did, that was offered a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't fill in. We are going to offer it again with a lot more notice this time. Rapid response, and it sounds kind of scary, and I don't mean it to be. It is just if, let's say ICE comes downtown, you would get a call, an automated call or a text saying, go check it out. And you would arrive with your phone engaged and film, along with a lot of other people, film what's going on, which tends to, well, one, it lets people who know who is actually being apprehended, because a lot of people, they just disappear when they're arrested and nobody knows what happened to them. By masked men, for that matter. And you were filming ICE to keep them hopefully a little bit less aggressive than they might be otherwise. And people are filming the filmers in case someone takes their phone. So it's a very passive sort of thing. You're not fighting with ICE. You are just recording things so people know what's going on. That's all. So if Ron.
You said it did not fill?
No, I said everybody is filming.
No, when you said the classes were
The training.
full?
Oh, the classes were not full. The
Because
classes,
when I went to sign up, it said it was full, that's why I didn't go.
Me too.
There was a problem with sign up.
let's put it this way, I had nothing to do with the sign up. Next time it will be held, it will be well advertised through Livermore Indivisible, and please come. And also, if you come, you are not obligated to do anything, but you will know how to react if something like that happens. And it's invaluable because if it happens in the dark, then nobody knows. And if you can imagine having one of your kids just disappear and you don't know where they are for days. Yeah, Ron.
Very quick, are we collecting the film clips in a common place? Because it seems to me this is where we begin to ID these people if we have a set of
A
records.
CELIT, all of this is through a CELIT, which is Alameda County,
Emergency?
legal, so anyway, it's, do
Do
you know what it is?
you know how to reach out to them? Or-
Oh, yeah, they're the ones who give the training, and they're the ones who run the system.
Thank you, yeah.
And I just can't right now, American, anyway, I think, yeah, Jan.
I was just gonna say, in addition to the filming aspect, it's important that we show up as witnesses.
Yes, we're witnesses, and in some of the early stages, I think it was in San Diego, people actually kept them out of the neighborhood. Because often they don't have arrest warrants, they don't have anything. They're just there and, oh my gosh, you have slightly tan skin. And now the Supreme Court has said that's fine. Unfortunately, Mary.
How often do these films and witness testimonies get actually used in litigation to protect the immigrants?
It's a seal, when you're filming and so forth, you are also staying behind, you're giving the people who are left behind legal recourse, how to find lawyers, and where they can get help. Your film is then goes to a CELIP and they have it and they will share it with the lawyers.
It's, ACLEP is the Alameda County Immigration, Legal, and Education Partnership.
Thank you. See why I can remember it? Jackie?
For the information that you're handing out to businesses, does that include the rapid response numbers so that, because they're gonna see it first happening in your business?
Yeah, actually, speaking of that, I brought some red cards and some yellow cards, which are all the rapid response in the area that are back on the table.
Also, the little group I mentioned earlier has that information on the posters and flyers that we are either posting on windows or giving to a business manager.
Perfect, thank you, Mary.
Yeah. You see, this is why we have city council members. Okay, so the two other things. One is, if you don't know about Miguel Lopez, our Livermore resident who was picked up when he went into San Francisco to do his required immigration check. Had been in this country for 27 years, I believe, had 3 kids, was married to an American citizen, had been going around in circles trying to get legal residency. He was without any court. He was sent to Mexico, is still there, has a trial, I believe, in October. And his GoFundMe QR code will be on our website as of tomorrow, in case you want to help the family, because he was the sole support of the family. Anyway, and the other thing we are doing, and this is going to happen in a few weeks, not right now, but we want you to think about who you know, what companies you know, what friends you have who own companies, this is an example of the sign we would like you to put in the windows. So just think now about who you know that you think you could approach, who would be receptive of these signs. The ones for the doors, which if you, whoops, and this whole program is called Signs of Solidarity. This is what they are given to put on an interior door of their business. ICE cannot go through this without a warrant. And this is where you would put your vulnerable employees. But anyway, so just think about the people that you might know who would be interested and willing to portray these signs. I think, we decided to delay it a little bit because right now, as of, a week and a half ago, it's gotten very touchy out there, and it might be better to wait until things calm down just a little bit. Yeah.
Those are the signs that this little group, and we.
I know, everybody is doing signs of solidarity.
We need to unify them. But those are the signs we're
I know.
doing. And the touchy has to do with, there were rumors that there was ICE activity on East Avenue.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that was a while back. Yeah, the touchy part, I was not talking about that. I was talking about it, okay, so, Please sign up back there if you're interested to try rapid response again, to go to the classes, and we will be sure you get notified when it's happening. There's also a sign up for if you're interested in working in immigration with Livermore Indivisible. We have several members here who are doing that, and our first immigration group began in 2017, so we've been around for a while. All right, so now I would like to introduce, he'll probably be here working on the slides anyway, Evan Branny. He is, if you don't know, he's our city council, he's our vice mayor right now, correct?
Yay!
So when 55 comes back, that's also important, but it'll get a new number at that time. So, yeah, I'm here to talk about Prop 50. Sorry, it's not quite full screen, but you know, I'll make sure that you have access to the slides later. So Prop 50 is the the Election Rigging Response Act, and what it is a nonpartisan act that is coming forward from the California legislature to say that we want to make sure that we have fair and balanced elections where people are represented. There's a lot of chatter out there and a lot of negative advertising going around trying to paint this as something that it's not. This is a response to actions that are happening across the country, and it's really there to make sure that all of us have our rights represented and our voices heard in a fair and balanced way. So there's a few things that all of you should know, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page with our terms. So this is about redistricting. Redistricting traditionally has been something that we do every 10 years. We get the census, we get our, sorry, this is a hard word to say, apportionment, sorry.
Say that fast.
This is why when I'm speaking in public, I don't read long words, I just say the ones I know really well. So that's the number of seats you get in each state. The state then decides how they're going to district and redistrict each cycle their seats. Normally, as a 10-year cycle, we do this right after we get the census. This has been, as far as I know, the way it's been forever. We've never had a mid-decade redistricting fight break out like this. Unfortunately, we have heard directly from Trump's mouth, he wants to find more seats to lock in Republican control, regardless of how the people vote. And so, what we're here now is to pass Prop 50. And Prop 50 is our best chance at taking back control of Congress in 2026 and making sure that we're able to secure our elections going forward and keep fair and balanced elections permanently. For us, this really also helps in that it reinforces our capacity. It helps us show that we're really, taking action against tyranny, that we're willing to strengthen our partnership with everyone. Everyone is invited to the table for this. This, as I said, is a nonpartisan effort. We are looking to try to make sure that everyone is involved and understands the ramifications. And then to build, of course, our volunteer base and our membership and get people engaged mid-cycle. There are really 5 key provisions of this act. Number 1 is it levels the playing field. We aren't trying to get more seats, we're not trying to get fewer seats, we're trying to get the same number of seats that are being stolen elsewhere. It also commits to fair redistricting. The act explicitly puts in clauses that California will actively work to try to get fair redistricting nationwide. It gives voters the powers to approve the maps. So you get to see the maps, you get to decide on them, make your voice heard. It's fair and proportional. So even though we are redrawing the maps, we're making sure that things don't happen like racial segregation, ideological segregation. It is trying to make the maps still represent their communities as best as possible. and it's temporary. This will only last until the next redistricting cycle, and then we will go back to the commission.
Theoretically, Texas's only lasts also until 2030?
All of them would all the maps will last until 2030. So regardless of who, each state's maps drawn will last until 2030 when we'll get our new numbers and we'll redistrict nationwide. The difference is this act, which is putting the power to redistrict into the legislature's hands. In California, we currently don't have that power. It's granting them that power, and that power will be temporary only until 2030 when it will return to the Citizens Redistricting Commission.
Evan?
And, yeah.
I would assume, to answer that question, that Texas could redistrict whenever they choose to do it, because it's in the legislative hands, so they could do it 2 years from now, 4 years from now, right?
It seems that way. If you had asked me this question 3 months ago, I would have said, no, you have to wait for the 10-year cycle, and apparently not. And
They did it in 2003.
really?
Yes, this is not their first time around.
Right.
So,
Texas.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the answers to these questions. I know, I try to keep informed, but...
Yeah.
So how we found ourselves in this position is California is one of the few states you can see with an independent redistricting commission. There's a little fewer than a dozen of us currently. There are a few other models that we have, but almost 40 states have purely state-controlled redistricting powers. And so that means the state can apparently choose whenever they want to redistrict. They can really gerrymander them. And a large number of those have used that power to really set up unfair populations. You can see from these graphs, we used to have mostly bicameral state legislatures where there was the powers, Democrats hold one house, Republicans hold the other, or the governorship. And you can see that sharp red line, that is where we did the 2010 redistricting. And we saw Republicans take control of many state houses for both sides, for the entire legislature and the governorship. You also see the same thing in the House, but you can see some of those spikes in blue along there are elections where Democrats really went out, hit the streets, talked to their constituents, worked really hard to bring in voters. We were able to make gains, and then each time you see that spike again is they line up roughly with the 10-year redistricting cycle. And so Democrats will make gains and then be districted to a point where Republicans start getting power, despite the general trend of the vote between the two parties has stayed relatively close. We're generally fairly evenly split.
I know this is not your slides, but I would recommend there's a very nice Ballotpedia version of that House control map that includes the proportion of votes for House members of a certain party. So you get a sense for how much the redistricting really changes.
Yeah, so these came from Ballotpedia, but there's a lot more information on Ballotpedia, a lot more details. I also put these in, there's a lot of information here, but just to give you a sense, you can look at these slides later, but this is to really show that in Republican states, I know it's small, good luck reading, but Republican states where there's full control, there are not many competitive seats, and generally they represent in their state legislature and then in the House, their House representation, they wildly overrepresent Republicans in those seats. And you look at the Democratic side and you'll see some of them do overrepresent on the Democratic side, but it's not by as large of a margin and generally is more balanced. So we see less of a gerrymandered effect there in general. You can dive into the numbers deeper if you want. So where we are today is suddenly we find ourselves in the middle of a nationwide redistricting race for the House. And this is about 2026. We have to act quickly because we need to be on the ballot in 6 weeks, I think. It is very soon. We're on the ballot very soon because it needs to go to the ballot to be in for the maps to be in place for the 26 election. Some of these other states that can do it unilaterally through their legislature can do it later than us. Texas has already approved their redistricting measures. You're seeing on the map, a number of other states are either contemplating it or starting the process currently. So, this is where we are today, and the map that is proposed. And so what it does, if you look closely at the map, you'll see, I mean, the obvious thing is you do see more blue. But if you look at the map and you actually dive into it a little deeper, you can see that it is divvied up in a way that does still work to make sure to keep communities together. I don't know if you've seen some other really, crazy maps out there. There are some maps that have, weird tentacles going out into other communities, and, they're divvying up areas into, 100 slices of a pie, basically, kind of thing, to try to dilute voters as much as possible and really pull in voters that don't have anything to do with each other's communities. We stuck with the idea of making sure that the areas are as compact as possible, that they keep, cities and counties as much as possible together. Of course, some of them are split by the nature of population distributions, but we didn't want to put us in a place where we're pulling communities that have nothing to do with other communities together. As far as the Bay Area goes, you won't see too many major shifts. The biggest one is that little weird part of Dublin is now going to be back to Swalwell's seat, and all of Contra Costa is going to go to Dusanier. It just makes the lines a little bit clearer. For us, though, I assume everyone in this room who's Alameda or Contra Costa, it won't make a major change in our voting and our representation. So most of you will have the same representative. Aside from that, just really quickly, we do have a large list of people endorsing. We do have tons of unions and organizations are coming out in favor of this. This really is a moment for us to stand up for our democracy and make sure that our voices are able to be heard, and not just in California, but to make sure that people elsewhere in the nation are able to have their voices heard. There were a few organizations that came out early in opposition, and they have withdrawn their opposition. So California Matters is saying, you'll notice a lot of the things I said, our maps have proportionality, they have public participation, racial equity, etc. They are working to try to make sure to meet the best possible standards. And so California Matters has revoked their opposition, as well as the League of Women Voters. They came out early in opposition and said, no, we now understand the importance of this measure, and that it is being done with real care, making sure that it is as fair as possible. There is also a list of those who are opposed. Of course, you see the US representatives who will be affected by it are going to be opposed. You'll notice a trend here. And there are also a few groups that are opposed, and these ones are generally ones who have been working in ways that I'm not particularly a fan of always, but we'll leave that there. One of the big things is KDEM is doing a huge organizing strategy, and so they have 5 legs to their strategy: phone banking, canvassing, digital and direct communication, community outreach, and then voter protection programs. So that information is on KDEM, but for us at Indivisible, we're also organizing locally, and we're making sure that we have access. So as I wrap up, I just want to say, your votes matter, but also your activism matters. This is something that we need to get out. We cannot take it for granted. There is an incredible amount of money. So many of the states that have unilateral opportunities to redistrict are Republican states, and so there is no opportunity for money to flow into those races to try to change them. And so we're getting a ton of out-of-state money coming into California right now in opposition, because this is one of the few opportunities where people can pour money into this race and actually make a difference. So most of you have probably already gotten flyers or seen ads in opposition. There is not the amount of money because the fight is happening everywhere. California is having to defend itself, and so it is California money versus nationwide money right now. So we don't have the funds, and we don't have the the amount of presence to actually make the number of yes on items. And so we need people out. We need you to get out there to make sure that we do have fair and free elections going forward, that we are able to make sure that our voices are heard. And just on a personal note, for those of you who don't know, my day job, I'm a teacher, I'm now the union president. And so I'm going to ask you very personally, because if this doesn't pass, the attacks that they're looking for and what we've seen already on the table is the dissolution of public education and the dissolution of collective bargaining. The attacks on those two institutions are unbelievably devastating. When we attack education, we're attacking the future of our nation. When we attack our rights to collective bargaining, we're attacking the ability for workers to live and fend for themselves, and we're attacking one of the strongest institutions that stands up against tyranny in every instance. I don't remember the exact number, but there's a statistic that in times when tyrannical governments have begun standing up, the labor movement is involved in fighting down, every time it has failed, labor unions are involved in fighting that. It's something like 90-something% of the time, labor unions are one of the major leaders in fighting tyranny. It is, if you look at the times where tyranny has risen up, labor unions are there to fight it. And so I'm happy to answer questions, but I'm going to leave this slide up while I answer questions, and hopefully it's clear enough for you to do the QR codes. If you want to volunteer with Indivisible, Indivisible is having multiple events. So you can hand out flyers at the farmer's market, you can canvass your neighborhood. Jackie is helping with the canvassing, and so there are, Jackie?
And Keith.
And Keith.
Karen.
And
Karen.
a number of people are helping. You'll reach out, you'll get a training, you'll get a turf, you'll be able to practice. If you want to go with someone, they can help you arrange to go with someone. And then after that, if you say, hey, I want to continue on, I just want to do my neighborhood now, I want to talk to my neighbors, I know them, they know it, they can help you with cutting turf and making sure that you have your neighborhood. So reach out, sign up, volunteer. Thank you so much. This is incredibly important. We need all of your help. We'll see if the mic works, or I'll repeat the questions, but you had a couple questions. Okay.
Do you have a yard size? I live near a school here in Livermore, and I get a lot of school traffic. I'm not a good walker anymore, but I'd be glad to put a yard sign.
So that is.
I am just getting ready to order some out of my own pocket, and then we'll turn around and sell them back to you all. So stand by, I'm not sure when we'll have them in, but we are working on that.
Okay, I'll give you a contact.
I was just going to, did you call me or her?
You.
You, okay. That Evan said, yeah, we vote in theory on November 4th, but ballots are being mailed on October 6th and drop boxes open on the 7th of October. So people in theory could be voting very soon. So we need to get the word out there. We can't wait until.
And locally, we see about a third for our voting, not exactly, but about a third vote in the first week or so, about a third vote through the, the mail-in ballot period, and then about a third vote in that last couple of days. So we roughly, you can dive deeper in the data, but it's around
And
there.
this year is, this is a special election, and those traditionally have very low voter
Yes.
turnout.
Is it a majority? Is it a simple majority?
Simple
Yes.
majority.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw another.
I just wanted to clarify something. Are we voting on the specific map that you showed in this ballot proposition, or are we just voting on the process and the specific map to vote on later?
So this includes the specific map, is my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah,
So the
that's
specific
correct.
map and we're voting on that for this cycle. Any other questions? All right. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a question for Karen and Keith and Jackie. Maybe you can get into a little detail about canvassing opportunities beyond the thing up there, QR code.
I'm confused, Mary. What additional canvassing opportunities are you talking about?
Well, there was a great get-together last Saturday, and with canvassing.
In Livermore?
Yes.
Oh, well, that is the canvassing opportunity in Livermore.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the exact canvassing opportunities. We're gonna be canvassing for every Saturday. We're going to be meeting at Carnegie Park every Saturday from here up into the election on November 4th. So if you haven't canvassed before, that would be a great time to come out. We would give you information, instructions on how to do it. If you've canvassed before, you can go out anytime during the week, and we would be happy to give you a turf to do anywhere that you want to within the city of Livermore. One of the things that I would really like to stress with this is that some people say, well, people don't answer the door, so why should I bother going out and canvassing? And it's much easier just going, maybe at the farmer's market and hand literature out. But you're going to get a different group of people. The other thing is that they may never get a flyer in the mail. So by just putting something under the doorstop, they're at least aware of what's going on. I have no idea, maybe Jackie can mention this, what the California Democratic Party's planning out as far as mailers. But at least they know that somebody cares enough to go to the door, ring the door, and is fervent enough to ask them to think about voting yes on Proposition 50. This is what the flyer looks like that we hand out, so it's quite large, but it actually talks about why we're doing it and gives some indication of why this is so important. And one of the things I'd like to really stress on this, because I'm very passionate on this topic, is that, Keith, Helen, Christine, and I were in this meeting, and we thought, that was talking about Proposition 50, and we said, this is our chance to actually do something that's positive. Normally we're always doing something in another state, in another, for some other district that's not ours. This is our town, and we can encourage people to come out and vote for this. And the higher turnout we get in Livermore just helps this pass. So that's why we have control over what happens in Livermore, and that's why we decided to actually organize the canvassing for this area. So I just wanted to encourage you all, if you can, please help us canvass for Proposition 50.
Yes. Christine is going to talk about farmer's market somewhere.
I'm right here, I already have.
You can, are you sure?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to second everything that Karen has said and that Evan has said about the importance of passing this proposition in California. For the last 2 Sundays, I and my faithful co-workers have been at the Livermore Sunday Farmers Market. We put up a table, we have signs, we have flyers, including the one that Karen just showed you. And it's interesting. Some of us walk the farmers market with some information and try to stop somebody that's shopping to talk to them about, do they know about Proposition 50 and maybe some inclination Some people don't want to be engaged at all. Some people kind of wave you off, say no. And some say yes, and some take the material, and some stop by the table and want to talk. From that experience in the last 2 weeks, I would say that it's a 50-50 thing. I mean, there are a lot of people that do not want to engage, but there are some who are really negative about it because they think of one thing. We have independent commissioning, independent redistricting here in California. Why change that? That's going backwards. They need a little conversation, that puts it in the context of where we are in this country at this time. That if you watch the news, every day there are signs of authoritarianism. And it is like everyone has said, California's chance to do something for the country, and ourselves, of course, too. So it really comes down to, the point is to have a chance to flip the Congress back to Democratic control, not because we just want Democrats in control, but it is to put a check on the president that we have. And if they're not for that, there's no point in talking with them. So, I think we need help from you all there are a lot of people who really don't know much about it. What's it about? Is it a local election? They don't realize it's a state election. Or really what it's about. So coming out to the farmer's market really at least enlightens them that it is a chance for them to vote and what it's about. And there are flyers that give a rationale for how important that is, not just, vote yes. So there's a QR code there, and there's also one about a donation box in the back where you can pick your Sunday, and you will not be alone doing this. We'll be there to set up a table, we'll provide materials to hand out, and you don't have to feel like I gotta convince somebody to vote differently. But if they want to engage, then you have material there to talk. So that's my pitch for the farmers market. Oh, one more thing. There is a donation box in the back, and I'm asking actually everyone if they can donate cash this time, because as Evan said, we're poor, to do flyers and to do all those kinds of things. So that's how money will be spent. Thank you very much.
Christine, are we limited to the free speech?
And I'm going to talk about the last, going out and doing things, way to support Prop 50. Though actually I had a member who called it Prop 25 until she realized. We're doing postcards also that are being sent to people, Democrats who rarely vote throughout California. So far, there's a box, or actually it's not a box. There's packets of 20 back there if you'd like to grab one. It has addresses, instructions how to do it, and postcards. Everything but stamps. You need to get your own stamps. But when those are gone, 3,000 will have sailed off my porch in the last, when we started this, a month ago, yeah. It seems. If you want more and that are there, talk to me afterwards. I have some postcards left, I can get the addresses. But I personally am shocked at the number of people I've been shocked at some people that I thought, oh yeah, you're a yes voter. No, they're not. Talk to your friends and neighbors, tell them why it's important. I'm also shocked at the number of people who have no clue what's going on. Why are we doing this? So talk to people, and these postcards are one way to reach people that are not being canvassed, that don't watch the news, and just don't know about this stuff. Anyway, so thank you for that, and yes.
One quick.
Yes, of course, Evan, go.
One last thing just to mention on another way of potentially volunteering. Please volunteer with Livermore Indivisible. Local is the best way, and canvassing and farmers market is the best way. But KDEM and the Alameda County Labor Association are doing phone banks as well. You can find that information online if you're looking for phone banking or text banking.
And Evan, everything should be going through Mobilize. So if you look at Mobilize, you've signed up through events there, that's one good way to stay in touch at every organization's events. So if you can't make one, you can make maybe Tri-Valley Democratic Club or something else. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, is that all written about? And, oh, yeah, talk about that. We did that.
I hadn't been expecting to talk about this. Yesterday, a group of us participated in the Livermore City's Day of Community Service. We went with Andy Long. I don't know if any of you remember last week, we actually, last year, we had Andy Long speak to us about some of his trash efforts, trash collection efforts. And he organized one of the activities for Community Service Day. It was the cleanup along South Front Street, and many of us participated in that. I think one person on the right-hand side found a desk. I think there was which was along South Front Street, as well as I think there was a mattress and some pallets and all sorts of interesting things that you can find if you look underneath the leaves. So we actually participated in that. Okay, yay.
And it actually was almost fun. I don't get as much enjoyment as Andy does in picking up garbage, but it was.
Do you want to play this? Well, I'll just say.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna work.
Oh, okay.
And Marla, I think, is going to be talking about October 18th.
Yeah. Well, so we've been, so my name is Marla, I'm on the steering committee. We've been talking about different ways we can get the word out to people, get more people involved in what we've been doing. Given the gravity of what's happening on the federal level, and now it's filtering into our community, you know, why aren't more people involved, and maybe they just aren't aware of some things that are happening. And so some members had seen this video. It's not gonna work.
No.
Okay. You can Google it. Google the name, yeah, Sequim, I think is how you Squid Washington fascism protest. Just Google it and the video will come up. We've been thinking we might do something like that, and so one of our members, Ellen, was wonderful about making the signs for us. So it's a series of signs that people would have, and we would either walk along the street or hold them at different intervals along the street so if people are driving by they can see them. Just telling people that the things that we're seeing now is fascism. So if you think it's something, we're not experiencing it now, it's something in the future, that's not correct. We are experiencing it now. And so we also want to do it, we haven't decided how or when we're going to do this, but if you're interested in holding the sign, one of these signs, just email us. We don't have a sign up sheet yet, but just email livermoreindivisible@gmail.com, and I'll collect the names, and when we have something figured out, we'll send out information about that. But it's a really, I think, effective way of maybe getting more people aware of what's happening, getting the word out about the crisis that we're in. The other way, do I just press?
No.
Okay. The other way is attending our rally, the No Kings 2 rally on October 18th. There is a sign up for that. We have about 100, over 150 people already signed up, and I just posted it like 5 days ago. So there's a lot of interest. We want a big rally. We want to show the community, the country, the world, that we are concerned about what is happening. And we say, no kings in America. And it will not be downtown this time. It will be at Portola Avenue. So please sign up and you'll get more information about that. This rally also will be a little different than some of the others we've had in the past. We're not going to have scheduled speakers or anything. It's going to be people chatting and using their voice, engaging with traffic, and of course always following the leads of our safety people. Because we maybe have to spread out a little bit, and we want to be sure everybody's safe. And also that we don't engage with any agitators if any show up, that we just ignore them and let our safety people handle them if they need to. Because they're just trying to distract us from the real issue, and that is no kings. So please join us Saturday, October 18th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sign up, we'll give you more information about it. Make a sign, we will have some pre-made signs. You can bring a sign from another rally, but be prepared to chant and raise your voices. Thank you.
And from the rally committee, I will say something we do. If you have a specific talent, like videographing, for instance, something like that, we could really use your help, and you could sign up in the back. I believe there's a sign up back there. You can always use help. And along that line, our head safety person would like a few minutes. And we always need volunteers. Jim, come on up.
No, I can do it from here. Everyone can hear my voice usually. Who know me don't want to hear it. These protests, these events, as I like to call them, are important to get our message out. Unfortunately, in today's world, there are counter-protests. There are agitators. They're going into people's face. They're trying to push. They're trying to shove. They're trying to get a reaction. We also got to be in Portola, I shouldn't say we, because I apologize. I'm out of town. Trish is back there. Chris will be in charge this time, my co. It's important that we have a safety team ready, prepared. I mean, that includes training, being able to de-escalate violence, being able to know how to react if something happens. We are always looking for more people, and for an event like the 18th, where it's going to be spread out on the street, we are going to need more people. So if you haven't thought of that, it's one of the ways for service to actually join the safety team. I will tell you, you do that, there's no sign you carry, no clothing you wear, you go neutral. Your job is to protect everyone, and that means everyone, both sides. But it is becoming real. We are teaming up on the safety team with Tri-Valley. We're teaming up with Eden Valley. We're reaching out, working with San Jose folks, and we're noticing the tension is coming up. The opposition is rising. They're getting a little more aggressive. And so we really need to have as many people as we can trained, ready, and to keep our team and everyone safe. So if you have any inclination and be willing to work and basically put down your sign and actually wear one of our funny green vests, we'd love to have you. You can go through, I don't know if the website has a reach, but go out and reach to any of the people, or I'm Jim Costa, someone will know me. So the sooner you better. What we're particularly getting nervous about is we have one person who is sometimes available, who is an EMT, but we really don't have a quick medical response available. So medical, nurse, doctor, advanced first aid trainer. And the key is, when we get to that big a size, timing is everything. Yes, we're gonna call 911, but traffic being what it is, response times. So That's one of the things that the teams are looking to bring in board. And again, I apologize, always asking, but we never have enough people. So if you're interested, particularly in this one, we can get you some of the training, we can get you talking to people. But, you know, again, if you have any questions, I'll be around afterwards. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I think that was it. I'd like to thank Stephen Dunbar and Evan, our two council, I think the only two council members who I see.
From that, they can't cluster.
From coming.
And Jackie.
For coming today. And anyone else have anything to say? Yeah.
I wanted to say that if you're not a nurse or someone with medical training, you can take a stop with weight class. They offer them, I don't know if they offer them here, but I think they have some in Oakland. And it helps teach you how to stop bleeding.
Stop bleeding class.
You don't have to be a nurse. I think these classes are free. So.
Free stop bleeding class in Oakland.
Okay, say it again.
Yeah, that was just that this
Yes.
member said that there's a free stop bleeding class in Oakland. It's not a full first aid training, but it's free to take. And if we get information on it, we can share it.
Yeah. Good information.
Yeah. Mel?
Anyone else?
Mel.
Yeah, Mel.
Hi, my name is Mel, and I went through the H-1B, H-4, so I lived through that. But like Sherry said, the times are different then and now. And also the other thing I wanted to share, today, September 21, is very significant because that was when martial law in the Philippines was declared 1972. And I lived through that. I was in first grade and lived throughout until I was in college. And so the parallel lines with the United States and the Philippines has become so narrow. While I've been integrated in this society, I'm still outside looking in, and there are things that we thought could not have happened that are definitely happening. So I appreciate Indivisible and what we all do here.
Thanks,
Thank
Mel.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? And, all right, so thank you for coming. Yes, Mary.
I'm not sure how appropriate this is, but I've been to a lot of demonstrations and events recently, and some of the most successful ones have a bubble machine. Does anybody know anybody with a bubble machine?